Schindler's List just celebrated its 30th anniversary. This was the Best Picture winner from 30 years ago, 1993. Directed by, in my estimation, and for my money, the greatest director of all time, Steven Spielberg. And you want more proof that this guy is the GOAT? This guy made this movie and Jurassic Park all within the same calendar year, both of which are considered to be amongst the greatest movies ever made. Like, if that's not proof to defend Steven Spielberg as the GOAT, I don't know what is. But yeah, this was a deeply, deeply personal movie for Steven Spielberg, basically telling this true, tragic story. This is centered around the Holocaust, of course, which was an absolutely devastating event. And our main cast here is anchored by the great acting trio of Liam Neeson, Ben Kingsley, and Ralph Fiennes. Neeson plays businessman Oskar Schindler, who arrives in Krakow in 1939, and this man is ready to make a humongous fortune off of World War II, which has just kicked off. Those of you history buffs will know that it started in 1939. After Schindler joins the Nazi Party, primarily for political expediency, he staffs his factory with Jewish workers for similarly pragmatic reasons. But when the Nazis begin exterminating Jews in the Krakow ghetto, Schindler agrees to have his workers protected to keep his factory in operation. But over this 3-hour, 15-minute runtime, he realizes that in so doing, he is also saving innocent lives. Now, the reason why this movie is considered to be amongst the greatest ever made isn't just Spielberg's direction, isn't just the phenomenal performances, but it's the fact that Schindler's List is presented to you in almost a documentary formation. Steven Spielberg shot this thing like a documentary. John Williams probably composes his most subtle score I think he's ever put out, because there's times where the score will swell up in big, gigantic, dramatic scenes and big, tragic scenes that will tell the audience how to feel. But no, when Steven Spielberg is showing you a lot of this nightmare-fueling imagery, like, there's no score in the background. He's not telling you how to feel. He is just showing you what actually happened. And what actually happened is unforgivable. Schindler's List is not one of those movies that you pop in just on a whim every Saturday night. It's definitely a very important movie that I think all film aficionados should watch at least once in their lives. And I think everybody in general just needs to watch Schindler's List at least once. I mean, I've seen this movie admittedly a small handful of times just to kind of prove to myself that I actually saw this thing. But let me tell you, it is never an easy time getting through it, because the it goes down is just horrid. And a lot like Saving Private Ryan, which I've also reviewed on this channel actually not too long ago, so feel free to check out that review after you're done here. But Spielberg never shies away from showing you the most drastic of just terrible events. And the movie does not shy away from showing you how ruthless these damn Nazis actually were. Case in point, Ralph Fiennes as Amon Girth. And believe it or not, this movie is how Ralph Fiennes became internationally known. What a role to put your stamp on the acting industry as a juggernaut. This guy is just a bastard. Just to give you an example, he takes advice from a Jewish woman about how this house should be built because she herself is an engineer, and he orders her execution after she gives him well thought out advice, and then this kid uses her advice anyway. What a piece of shit. Like, it is unbelievable to think that all this stuff actually happened. But it did. And that's why Schindler's List is so freaking important that everybody needs to watch. But even with the cruelest of cruel going on in the world around that point with the Nazis, the film also does not shy away from showing you that even in the most tragic of circumstances, there are still good people who could come out of this. Case in point, Oskar Schindler, and this just might be Liam Neeson's best performance of his career still. The arc that you see this man travel through in this film is so compelling, because this guy starts off as a con man and a businessman within the Nazi Party, but then once he actually sees the cruelty that's going on, he's trying to save as many lives as he possibly can. And my god, the brotherhood that Liam Neeson shares with Ben Kingsley and the chemistry that they have on screen, so freaking great. And Ben Kingsley himself was already a legend at this point. I believe he had won Best Actor for Gandhi about a decade before this. And you are just rooting for this guy so much. But my god, even though there's a lot of characters in here that remain nameless, you connect with all these people. Every single face you see on this screen Like, you can tell that they have a connection with somebody in real life, and that their deaths mean something to those people. I love how Steven Spielberg shot this entire movie in black and white, aside from the final 5 minutes or so, and aside from the little girl in the red dress, which is a very haunting sequence. But this is so Spielberg could make this little girl stand out in the crowd. Because Liam Neeson kind of spots her, and he kind of has this little strange connection with her. But then when you see this mountain of corpses that are being burnt to a crisp, the red dress is there, man, and Liam Neeson recognizes it. I'm telling you, there's some imagery and sequences in this movie that, honestly, you're never ever gonna forget. And I know I'm digging a little bit deep into spoilers, but just in case you've never seen Schindler's List, definitely watch it at least once. But my goodness, the whole sequence where Ralph Fiennes is taking this rabbi out, and the only reason why he doesn't shoot this guy dead is because his gun is jammed. Just the whole idea of watching this execution go down, and the fact that that gun could go off at any minute. There's just so much anxiety induced in that moment. Like, you fear for that man's life. And when Girth realizes that the gun is jammed and he walks away, it's almost like you breathe this gigantic sigh of relief for this man. But again, what Spielberg does so damn effectively in this movie, again, it isn't just the fact that he's showing you all this in documentary form. It isn't just the brilliant filmmaking you get here. The amazing lighting that you get from a black and white film is just stellar. Especially for 1993. This movie felt like it came out around the 50s, maybe even the 60s. And in the 90s, it would have had better budget, of course, but man, this movie is just like, it is shot so pristinely. Like, there's not a single thing wrong technically with this movie. But even when you have those sequences of darkness where you have the Nazis infiltrating the ghettos, and you have a Nazi soldier playing the piano, and as all this gunfire is going on, the Nazis are debating whether or not this other Nazi is playing Mozart or Bach. Like, seriously, you fuckers, that's what you're more concerned with? But even when you have dark moments like that, you still have this big glimmering light of inspiration at the end. When the factory gets closed down, when the war is over, and Schindler basically becomes a fugitive, he is a wanted man, you get scenes like this.
I could have got more. I don't know if I just... I could have got more.
God, that will just bring a tear to many an eye. Like, honestly, guys, Schindler's List, it's not going to be the most rewatchable movie you're ever going to watch in your life. Like, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who watches this every single year, just pops this on any given Saturday just for fun. Because this movie isn't fun. It's not entertaining. To put it simply, Schindler's List is exhausting. Especially when you get over 3 hours of a runtime here. Like, this movie has no qualms about showing you the most devastating imagery imaginable. But the movie still happens to end on a positive note. Not just with that inspiring scene with Liam Neeson and Ben Kingsley at the end. It's actually such a beautiful transition to show you the real Schindler Jews, these real survivors. And they're all placing stones at Schindler's gravestone. Like, that's the kind of thing that'll make you tear up when you watch it. Schindler's List is one of the greatest movies ever made. Its Oscar win for Best Picture in 1993 was a damn given. And as if Jurassic Park wasn't enough proof to tell you that Spielberg was the best to ever do it, Schindler's List was released the same calendar year. The man's a workhorse. What can I say? You could tell that this was a very deeply personal story to Spielberg also, because he went out of his way. Rumor has it that this script was originally written for Martin Scorsese to direct. Could you imagine how much different of a movie this would have been if it was Scorsese? But no, Spielberg was initially slated to direct the remake of Cape Fear, but he saw that screenplay for Schindler's List, and he offered up the Cape Fear remake to Scorsese basically as an exchange. What a hell of an exchange that was. In case you haven't guessed, I'm going to give Schindler's List an A+. Like, the imagery is horrifying. You are not going to want to revisit Schindler's List a ton. If you haven't seen it in a while and you need a reminder of all of the historically devastating shit that happened during World War II, yeah, now is as good a time as any to check this one out. But let me know what you think of this flick down in the comments section below. What is your favorite historical drama out there? What's your favorite war movie? And stay tuned for all future content over here as well. I'm over here discussing all new things in movies and entertainment on the regular. We got a stacked month of December with things like Wonka, The Iron Claw, Aquaman 2 are all hitting theaters. And y'all are invited to join the discussion here. It's a great community of film lovers and entertainment lovers out here. So do consider subscribing today and tap on that thumbs up so you always stay up to date with me. Guys, y'all are the best. Stay tuned for more videos very soon. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.